Welcome to Gruen. We'll get to the panel in a moment, but first, Disney has an exciting new streaming service called Movies Anywhere. Hang on, what the hell is going on with that logo? Let me guess, Disney, your graphic designer drew it like this. What's next? Are you going to launch your own original kids series? Yams in Jim Jams? Sure, Disney claim their logo comes from a combination of M and A, which means someone was very drunk writing their alphabet. On the other hand, the ABC's iconic curves are based on the tele-recording of a cathode ray oscilloscope, which shows how old it is, because I don't know what any of those words mean. We paid good money for this logo. Specifically, we paid ABC staffer Bill Kennard £25. £25 for something we probably could have made him draw for free. Typical ABC waste. I don't know what sort of Mickey Mouse organisation you're running, Disney, but if you don't take this sign's advice and stop, you'll be hearing from our legal team. Anyway, there better not be any more evidence of you ripping us off, Disney. This means war! That's why I'm unveiling the new Gruen logo. Looks familiar? Not to me. I came up with it all by myself. Our panel from PwC, Russell Howcroft, and from the top of Mount Everest, it's Todd Sampson. Joining them from GTB, Cam O'Keefe, and from the Honeycomb Effect, Carolyn Miller. For most of my adult life, Harvey Norman ads have had all the charm of a shouty fifth grade PowerPoint presentation.
Pay $32.99 for the Hewlett-Packard Pavilion with powerful 1.2 GHz Athlon processor, 32 megabytes GeForce graphics card and 7-inch monitor. This Toshiba notebook, just $29.99 with a 700 megahertz processor and huge 13.3-inch active screen.
I think if you slow it down, it says if we rush through the words, you won't notice how expensive our dumb computers are. Recently, Harvey Norman has changed its advertising game.
It's a game changer. This is the Harvey Norman flagship store. Just imagine a football field full of computers and electrical on display, demonstrated to you. This is a global standard. The manufacturers have worked with Harvey Norman to create this unique experience. You come into this store, you touch it, you feel it, you experience the atmosphere. You must come and have a look at what we've done.
You must come. This isn't a negotiation. We're holding your appliances hostage. I'm touching them and feeling them. The phrase that jumped out at me is this one.
It's a game changer.
Game changer. Why does that sound familiar?
Amazon is coming to Australia in a game changer for our retail market.
This is a game changer for the Australian retail market, an absolute game changer.
Amazon has rolled out its first ever bricks and mortar store.
I love this. Do you love this?
Well,
really?
it's going to be a big
It's a game changer.
Thing.
It's a game changer. Carolyn, what's the game and how is it changing for Harvey?
Oh, poor Harvey's. Game changer, when people use this, really what he's trying to do is position himself as equal against Amazon. Now, what I do understand is the game is obviously retail, but consumers really don't actually like these big, overblown terms. So I actually did some research with consumers last year because I was considering using the words innovative and game changer in some advertising that we were developing, and they really hate it. They really don't buy into it. They really think unless you are launching the new innovation that's like an iPhone or like the car, it's overblown. It's just not believable. So, but at the same time, a lot of the words that he's saying there, the other word in the ad was global standard. He's trying to position himself as being next to Amazon. And what I find fascinating about this is we're actually all buying into Amazon's PR strategy. They're the ones saying game changer. Every time someone repeats it, it's reinforcing their position.
Jerry Harvey has reason to be scared after what happened in the US earlier this year.
Some of the country's most familiar stores closing hundreds of locations and cutting thousands of jobs tonight. Take a look at the map. Sears shutting down 150 of their Sears and Kmart stores coast to coast, everywhere where there's a logo. And then we add on tonight where Macy's is shuttering dozens of their department stores.
In the preemptive war against Amazon, Jerry's weapon is atmosphere.
You touch it, you feel it, you experience the atmosphere. You must come and have a look at what we've done.
You must come! There's no one here! I'm very alone! There are 12 people in that store, including Jerry. Russell, if you want to sell us the experience, why not show happy customers?
Yeah, it would make sense, except that we've spent our entire lifetime watching Jerry Harvey in his advertising, and that is his style. So it's actually a big risk in an advertising sense to change your style because the advertising won't necessarily be attributed to Harvey Norman. So that's why he's sticking to his style. The other thing which is really important to note, yes, lots of stores are being shut in America. They're saying 8,600 retail outlets will shut this year in the States. The reason why they're shutting is because they're no good. Because there's been...
It'd be great if Russell broke the news to you.
Because they haven't invested. If you go to a mall in the US, and they're actually nowhere near as good as our flagship, to use a Jerry Harvey word, they're nowhere near as good as our flagship stores. Yeah, so if you're in Fifth Avenue in New York, those stores aren't shutting down. But if you're in some backlog in the Midwest where they haven't invested in their retail outlets, they are the ones that are shutting down.
I think the strategy's not terrible. So the stores still matter. The majority of people online would still prefer to buy in bricks and mortar if it was the same price, right? And so what they're trying to do, and this is happening globally, is that retailers, the majority of their costs sit in their real estate, in their overhead that they're paying. And obviously Amazon doesn't have that on the scale that retailers have. So they're trying to reposition stores away from just purely about sales into bigger experience or brand experience, a kind of a broader thing where people can get involved inside.
And in that advertisement, he is leading with the strategy in that, there's a super there that says flagship experience. So that is what you have to do these days if you're in the retail game.
But I think the reason why you're not seeing happy customers in there is because there's nothing more irritating when you're shopping than other customers.
Yeah.
And showing wonderful, clean, football-sized space of just open stuff to look at is massively aspirational.
I know, it's the shopping experience you'll never, ever have. And you go, you can actually just look at everything unencumbered by other annoying customers.
Jerry says this flagship store will have product demonstrations. First, you've always been able to turn on the tallies. Second, not sure who needs a demonstration of a kettle. Cam, what's to stop people trying these products here and then still buying them on Amazon?
Nothing. And it already happens. I mean, who isn't already shopping and checking out the sunglasses in the store and then quickly seeing on their phone if there's a price match nearby? That's the reality of the modern marketplace. I think, just talking to the experience factor, it is incumbent on retail stores, so bricks and mortar stores, to offer a really phenomenal experience and distract you from your phone so that you actually are really kind of, I suppose, captivated by the experience they're offering and actually happily hand over the money on the spot. And I think a retailer that does that really well is Mecca. Maybe that's my own personal experience, but you go in there and you think, I'm just going to go and get one lipstick, and then they're all over you like a rash, but in a really lovely way. And suddenly you're like, holy shit, I've just spent hundreds of dollars. I didn't even think I needed this product. So
But also, I mean, the people doing the demonstrations in Harvey Norman's or Bing Lee, they're not employees of Harvey Norman and Bing Lee. They're actually hired by the manufacturers. And we know that, well, certainly some clients I've worked with have sold up to 40 to 50% of their stock through a merchandiser. So when you have those sorts of sales, we know that the sale can happen quite quickly and they can close it on the spot.
Yeah, we did a campaign that exactly addressed this, that really sent Jerry Harvey off. So it was over at Christmas time, and we bought all the billboards around in the front of Westfields. And the line we had was, it was for eBay, the line we had was, browse at Westfield, buy on eBay. And of course, Jerry, who never, holds back on a rant, he goes in the PR and says, this is completely unacceptable. The fact that they don't pay tax on products that are under $1,000, and the public went, they're not paying tax on under $1,000? That means the products really are cheaper.
I love this bit.
A football field full of computers and electrical.
I love that he measures things in football fields. We've actually fact-checked that claim. Harvey Norman Auburn is bigger than Sydney's ANZ Stadium, but much smaller than both the SCG and the MCG. Todd, big stores overwhelm me. Why does size matter?
I think the strategy that he's using is a very old, traditional retail strategy, which is if it's big, it's convenient, and it's got everything in one place, and it has that kind of warehouse feel, so you assume it will be cheaper. But compare that to Amazon. So Harvey's out talking about traditional big retail shops that he's opening. Meanwhile, Amazon has 300 million people involved with their brand, and they have 45,000 robots that work for them, and they're focused on drone delivery in all the major cities in the world. They're not worried about how big Harvey's shop is going to be.
Yeah, it's a mistake to underestimate what Amazon's going to do, but it's also a mistake to overestimate what Amazon's going to do. Yeah, so yes, they disrupt markets, and yes, they're innovative, and yes, they're very good at their public relations. We've got drones that are going to deliver whatever you want. All that is true. Actually, it's great news for good retailers, because what it makes them do is it makes them accelerate. The news of Amazon coming means that they go, OK, what are we going to do to improve our service, to improve our offer, improve our floor plan? And as a result, the consumer's going to be better off. Yeah, it's good news.
And I actually think on that, because Jerry Harvey has come out and said that he will price match against Amazon. And there is no doubt in my mind that when you're able to price match on your phone in the store and you have a live thing that you can touch and feel and you know how it's going to fit in your home, the sale can be done there.
But also, like furniture and whatever else they sell at Harvey Norman is a subset of what Amazon's doing. I mean, I was filming in America, and people that were there working there, they were like running out of toothpaste in their homes, and then buying toothpaste, it was delivered within an hour. So it's not like they're getting big parcels delivered. I mean, literally, they were ordering everyday stuff, like one product cost $3, and it was being delivered to them for free.
Yeah, but what that says to me is Americans care too much about their teeth. Amazon is so big globally that when you type the word Amazon into Google Images, you don't get any pictures of the rainforest. Ads alone won't beat it. Jerry's been on a PR blitz.
As a corporate citizen, they're terrible because it sent a lot of other retailers broke that used to employ people. They used to pay taxes. Amazon pays virtually no taxes. Amazon's coming here, they're fighting me, OK? Make no mistake. I've got a gun in my holster too, OK? So you've got all those people out there, hard to argue. Oh, Amazon, I'll get it a bit cheaper, right? Yeah, you'll get it a little bit cheaper, but they'll get you later, right? They've got your name, right? They've got your address, and they're going to skin you later.
I do not like this Australian remake of Silence of the Lambs. On the upside, I'm going to Halloween in my Jerry Harvey mask. All the retailers are facing the same threat. Carolyn, would they have elected Jerry as their spokeshouter?
Definitely not. I think that Jerry Harvey would have absolutely have taken this on board himself to come and be the champion against Amazon. And it's quite clever, actually, because it means that once Amazon arrives, he's positioned himself as being the alternative. So you either shop at Amazon or you shop at Jerry Harvey. But the thing that really works for him and his brand about this is that he is a multi-millionaire, but is somehow still a battler. And it really seems to work. He's a bugger. He's an absolute bugger. And I love that about him. He's got this Australian larrikinism, which is why people do love his brand personally. It's why he does feature in all of their ads, and that is something powerful.
He's also saying some stuff that is important. So the notion that the American-based digital disruption businesses that are then going around the world and then in turn disrupting local companies, it doesn't have to be celebrated. Yeah, it should be fought, or at the very least, people should be educated that that's the case.
He's trying to make statements that also look after his brand in the arrival of something new. That is a battle. And I think he's doing a relatively good job of it.
And it's hugely important that Australian business people are on the front foot and fighting their corner, yes, using the media in order to do that. There's nowhere near enough Australian business people that do it.
Let's have a look at what Harvey's competitors are doing. If you walk into JB Hi-Fi, you'll be likely to be blinded by yellow sales signs. They also own The Good Guys, and all its ads are sale-obsessed too.
At The Good Guys, we're slashing prices during Kitchen and Laundry Week.
Kitchen and Laundry Week, not a real week. Can't wait for Kitchen and Laundry Week. I wonder what presents I'm getting for Kitchen and Laundry Week. Oh, then it's Toilet and Dunny Week. Love Toilet and Dunny Week. Cam, is that the future? Sales all year round?
No, it's not. I think sales and sales messaging is really just about generating traffic. So it's sort of like shouting out the front of your store, trying to get people to come in. But the reality of it is you can't be on sale across every product every day of the year because you would have to close your doors. And I think that's... In terms of messaging, Amazon does actually work on price perception. So yes, they are cheaper than the retail offerings like Harvey Norman, but they're not cheaper across everything. And so where they draw you in is by offering really cheap prices on a particular product and then actually collecting information about you to then retarget you with other product offerings at better profits.
So it's a deliberate retail strategy though. It's called EDLP, which is everyday low prices. And then you educate the consumer that it is everyday low prices. So you are, in effect, on sale all the time, certainly in the eyes of the consumer. So JB Hi-Fi, awesome at it. When we say lowest prices are just the beginning, we know who that is. It's a very, very... It doesn't sound clever, but actually it is because you just get that continuous sale.
But there is a saying that if something's always on sale, it was never on sale. And it's pretty common knowledge that most people mark up the prices to mark them down and talk about a regular price. Because a sale's based on two things. Urgency, this sort of false belief that if you don't get it now within this time period that's being advertised, that it will go back to regular price. More often than not, there is no regular price. And the other thing is bait and switch. And a lot of these companies, including Harvey Norman, have been in issues with the ACCC over bait and switch, which is advertise a really low price, and then you come into the shop and it's just not available. And then what happens? There's an upsell to something else. Now, that's illegal, but it happens.
Plenty of retailers advertise click and collect, which allows you to pay for your goods online and then pick them up in store. Convenient. Australia Post has just launched Shipster, where you eliminate online shopping costs by paying a membership fee. Sounds shiphouse. Amazon Prime promises same-day delivery. Russell, who wins the shipping wars?
I'm not sure who wins the shipping wars. There is something, though, about Australia which I think is different, that we don't necessarily acknowledge. We're not America. We don't have the density of population. We're, 5 major cities, incredible distance between our cities. Australia Post has delivered to us for decades, 100 years. So if you want me to back someone, I'd say it's Shipster. They'll do it because they've got the infrastructure existing. They know that Amazon is coming. That creates a competitive tension. That's why they've created this new product.
This is the most interesting point about Amazon to me, is that ultimately they're really not a retailer, they're a logistics company. And that's actually what they're good at. So if they can solve what businesses in Australia have been trying so hard to do for the last 10 to 15 years, it would be amazing.
Yeah.
So whether or not they can, I think because some very smart people put their heads to it and you still can't get overnight delivery in some parts of Australia.
But maybe Australia is more like Canada. So when Amazon moved into Canada, so it's not that far away from the US, they've had nowhere near the impact that they have in the US. It's like 1% of total sales. So, you know, in the US, they've got 43% of online sales, and online sales is like 15% of total sales. So we sort of expect that is what's going to happen when they come here. But it may well be more like Canada.
The reason shipping is so important is because the research is pretty clear. 30% of people will ditch their virtual shopping cart once they get to the shipping section because it's either too expensive or too difficult to do. And our retailers want, and that's why that click and collect is so good for traditional retailers, because you're bringing them back into these expensive shops that already exist. And also, it just decreases their costs. I think Amazon will not try to cover all of Australia. I think that would be a silly strategy. I think what they should do is focus on the main markets, and they'll be able to deliver fast.
David Jones is aiming for the experience.
It's a new food concept that, cross fingers, will lure droves of customers back into David Jones. The draw card? This 280-seat restaurant, captained by celebrity chef Neil Perry.
The aged beef that comes from our butcher, the beautiful avocado that we're smashing on the toast comes from the produce part of the store.
Finally! I've been wondering where to find smashed avocado on toast. Australia's favourite ponytail is also holding cooking demonstrations in Harvey Norman Auburn. Not sure he's picked sides, though. His cookbooks are readily available on Amazon. Carolyn, what kind of weapon is food?
Food for retailing is absolutely massive because it's something that you can not necessarily get online and have the same experience with. You want to be able to smell and touch and see where it comes from. And what David Jones have done in the eastern suburbs of Sydney with their Bondi Food Hall experience is amazing. The reason why it's important to have food, though, as a draw card is because it will lure you out of your house to come in and touch. However, hopefully you'll stay in the store and then go on to other products. And the way that it's ranged cleverly. The food hall is downstairs, but it's right next to all of the kitchen appliances. So you translate from one into the other and you just go, hang on, my life needs to be a better quality, let me start buying stuff.
And I think location is a very deliberate strategy. I mean, people know that if there's a good food in a mall, that you'll spend 20% longer. And if you spend longer, chances are you'll buy more. But they always put the food courts either down in the bottom or up in the corner. And it's actually comes from Victor Gruen, you know, the show is named after. He was an architect that created supermarkets, and he designed them in a way with this kind of scripted disorientation. So you go in and you want to get a coffee at David Jones, and you end up with a vacuum cleaner on the way through. And it's very cleverly done. So.
I appreciate that, by the way. It took us 106 episodes, but somebody finally explained what the show title means.
Yeah.
So, that's what it means. Stop asking me now. That's what it means.
The food bit does matter, but the bigger picture, it's around the mix. So what percentage of your floor plan is going to be food? What percentage is going to be apparel? What percentage is going to be hard goods? And one of the reasons why in the US they've been shutting so many stores is that they didn't get the mix right. So more than 50% of the floor plan is apparel, where you need to be way down. It needs to be more like a third of your floor plan. So food's important, but actually what's more important is the mix that you're providing to the consumer.
David Jones, Myer and Harvey Norman were the Amazon of their day, swallowing up the corner stores of the past. Cam, will consumers be sympathetic to the slightly smaller big fish?
I don't buy it. I'm not sure that people will. I think knowing that these big brands have actually swallowed up lots of ma and pa operations in their day, I don't know how much sympathy people are going to have for their reduced profits.
They are not slightly smaller. Big fish. You know, Amazon is valued at $350 billion, which is about the same size as Israel. So it's Israel against, Australian retail outlets. So,
as if we don't get enough complaints, now Russell's brought up Israel. So, that's great. Any other hot topics?
I think we might love battlers, and and research has proven that we do love battlers, but we love a lower price more. And I think the love for Harvey Norman is the love of lower price. You take away lower price, I think it's a lot less love.
I do think, though, for big household items, people want to see and touch it.
Yes.
And if they can price match in store, that is their first line of defence.
Browse at Westfield. Buy on eBay.
Terry Harvey wasn't always an angry old man yelling at the sky. As this next ad from the 80s shows, Jerry was once a song and dance man with a phantom ghost woman chasing him around the store for reasons I'll never understand.
Hey, Harvey Norman, you've got the people, you've got the style. Your low prices make it all worthwhile. You give a service with a smile. Harvey Norman, Harvey Norman, Harvey Norman.
You want me, Harvey?
Hey, Harvey Norman.
No, Harvey, no. That's not an ad, that's just what's going on inside Jerry's head at all times. And now, the pitch, where agencies battle it out to sell the impossible. From the Joker to Pennywise from the movie It. From Sideshow Bob to existentially depressed French mimes. When was the last time you saw a clown without a dark side? Thanks to pop culture and a spate of terrifying clown sightings in the news, it's safe to say clowns have an image problem. So we've asked our agencies to help rehabilitate their reputation and make us love clowns again. Can they do it? Please welcome from agency Tim Middlemiss and from Red Jelly, Robbie Arnott. Tim, where did you send in the clowns?
Well, we wanted to give our audiences a choice about how they react to clowns.
Let's have a look. Robbie, how did you tackle this juggling act?
Well, we realised that grown-ups are the ones giving clowns a bad name.
Let's have a look.
I hate clowns.
They're so creepy.
They're bloody terrifying.
Clowns. Made for kids, ruined by adults.
Good job. Well, Russell, I liked them both.
Yeah.
Which one did you prefer?
Great end lines on both of them as well, but I love the social media insight of number one.
Cam, what about you?
Yeah, me too. I'm going to choose Joy.
What about you, Carolyn?
I like number two just because it is adults who stuff everything up and keep the purity for kids. It's great.
Last but not least, Todd?
I like that neither of them really focused on humour, so I'm going with two.
Oh, and that means it's a tie, right? Oh, there we go. Look at that. That seems like a fair result, I think. The Ronald McDonald House does incredible work, helping over 100,000 families since it began in Australia in 1981. Saturday was its major fundraiser, McHappy Day. Tonight, we want to find out how it works and what happens when a charity collides with a brand. Here's an ad that played in the lead-up to the event.
Oh, wow.
He had drips all over him, monitors all over him, painful for him, really stressful for us. Kept Jacob confident and safe and happy and has kept our family unit together.
I just want to say a massive thank you. It means a lot to people like me and to people like Dad and Mum.
Oh, you give me a lump in my throat.
I have watched that a lot, and I love that kid. He is literally better spoken than most of our politicians. That's part of a larger campaign where donors to Ronald McDonald House meet the families of kids they helped. Carolyn, is it effective?
Look, for McHappy Day, I would say not. I think it goes against the principles of what McHappy Day is, which is about having fun and getting involved and, you know, and I understand why they want to show what the end result is. But at the same time, I don't necessarily think that's motivating for people to go and buy a Big Mac on McHappy Day. But Ronald McDonald House and McHappy Day, if you like, probably need to keep some level of separation rather than trying to say this is why you should go to McDonald's now and have fun on McHappy Day.
I think using emotion does override rational thought. You know, you're not immediately going, oh my God, that's an ad for McDonald's. You kind of watch that moment. And what I like about that ad is I like that it's making the giving tangible. It's a similar strategy that World Vision used when they started putting actual kids' photos on in terms of the kid you sponsor, so you see them. So it's made it really tangible. And McHappy Day funds the Ronald McDonald's house. And I love the strategy and the insight behind Ronald McDonald House, which is basically saying that kids heal better if they're closer to their loved ones.
McHappy Day also had plenty of radio and online ads with this little disclaimer. Available after 10:30 a.m. So it was more like McSum of McSaturday. Russell, why would that be?
Because you have to buy a Big Mac in order to contribute, and you can only buy a Big Mac after 10:30.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. It is. Right. Yeah. And they're trying to make it easy to do. Yeah, so buying a Big Mac, so therefore it's an easy decision by the consumer. And it's also bringing in lapsed users. Yeah, and it's bringing in lapsed users for McDonald's, or lapsed users to the Big Mac, because you may not have had one for some time. It gives you a good reason, and yeah, they can only cook them from 10:30.
And the other interesting thing about the Big Mac is in America, it's a crazy statistic, but in America, only 1 in 5 millennials have ever had a Big Mac. And we know these millennials really care about social causes. So if, in many ways, McHappy Day on a global scale has a big opportunity to attract that group of people into the shop where they normally would not go.
But did you need the disclaimer? Because for me, it almost felt, you know, it's like gamble responsibly. It makes something sound shifty that actually isn't. Because if they're not available, because I thought they were, but if they're not available before 10:30, well, you can't buy the product that the $2 donation is associated with. So why have the disclaimer?
But do you know why? I know why. Because having spent some time working on that brand in the past, if you walk in at 10:40 and you ask, for example, you ask for an Egg McMuffin, and they say, sorry, we no longer have that, the customer goes completely berserk. So what they're trying to do is stop the customer dissatisfaction before they get there.
And Todd knows that because he was actually Ronald McDonald for 3 years. People who visit the store on McHappy Day order fries, drinks, desserts and salads. Just kidding, no one orders salads. Todd, would McDonald's sell more on the day?
Yes, they would sell substantially more. So their sales on the day is up roughly 20%, and their sales on the week is up 7%. And that's not bad, considering there is no paid media. So all of the media is contra media. So they go to the big media owners and they say, look, we want some media to run McHappy Day ads, and they're scared because McDonald's has so much money, and they say, yes, you can have this. So it's pretty good, profitable return.
In fairness, the media, so the publishers would be selling that as value-added. It's because of the millions that they spend in a year that they get a portion of value-added media to be able to use for the charity initiative.
So it goes up a lot, but that's not the only reason. They're bringing in non-loyalists. That's a big part of it, because people that would never consider it before will come in and just have a look for that reason, and that's a good part of their strategy.
I mean, it does kind of work, doesn't it? Because I'm vegetarian, I don't go to McDonald's, I'd never eat a Big Mac, but there's part of me that thinks, if I don't, does that mean I hate sick kids?
I would question whether or not the non-loyalists would be motivated by McHappy Day. Like, I do think that you might get a more transient McDonald's customer going in on McHappy Day, but certainly not someone who's an outright rejecter.
No, not rejectors.
So I do think that the motivation of it, it's on a very personal level, and I would question how many people would actually go, OK, it's McHappy Day, let's go have that once a year.
No, but if they're with someone else, they'd be happy to come in. And all they need to do is trial an easy product, which is not a burger, like coffee, and they know that once you try a coffee, almost 30% of people will do it again because it's better than they thought.
After having a McDonald's coffee, really?
Yeah, I'm telling you. I'm telling you, coffee is the new toilets at McDonald's. You know how people would go. People go to the toilet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, came up.
Not a great slogan, though, mate. The new McCrappuccino.
That didn't come out right.
Did it have a little froth on the top? In the past, McHappy Day had big celebrity ambassadors like Delta Goodrem, the Veronicas, the Madden Brothers, Melissa George and Shane Warne, who was probably still there from a bender the night before. This year, they had the wonderful Ada Nicodemu and someone called Roxy Jacinko.
Go on, tuck in. Yes.
Yeah, of course you tuck into a Big Mac. What's your favourite Macca's meal? Obviously, the Big Mac is top of the list, but she's just taking a big bite of Big Mac.
Well, look. Sorry, I just needed to swallow.
I have never seen anyone enjoy a burger less. Here's how the McDay was covered in the McNews.
Well, how good's this? Look, and today is the day you don't have to feel guilty about your fast food cravings because you can smash a Big Mac and it's for a good cause.
Well, if you've ever dreamed of buying the world's biggest Big Mac, this could be your chance. A gigantic replica is being put up for auction on eBay to raise funds for this year's McHappy Day.
It was a very McHappy day for the producer that needed to fill 5 minutes of that show. We actually expected to find more free press about the day, but it was pretty slim pickings. Carolyn, is McHappy Day starting to feel a bit McTired?
It sure is. So I honestly, this year, I didn't even know it was on, essentially. And I think it's really sad, particularly from the celebrity angle, because when I was growing up, like, that was the thing about McHappy Day, was the fact that you could get Bruce Damazan from East Street in your local Macca's serving you a burger. And that was really exciting then. And I do think, though, this is a bigger thing about the McDonald's brand, in the sense that also when I was a kid, having a McDonald's birthday party was awesome. And all kids had them and it was exciting. So the magnetism, if you like, about what McDonald's had in childhood was really big when I was a kid. And that magic has been lost a little bit. So it is much harder when you're doing something that is about, again, kids and having fun. But if you're not already playing in that space, it's a much, much tougher sell.
So the way to think about ideas is it is like a party balloon. So if you blow up a party balloon, tie it off, and that's the idea. So in this McHappy Day, there is the idea. And of course, if you let it go, gravity takes a hold. And if you don't do anything about it to upkeep the balloon, the air will go out, and in the end, it's this shriveled up mess. You have to continuously blow the balloon up, and then you got to give it a whack. So there it goes for fly. And it comes back down again. Give it another whack. That's every year. Every year. If you're not doing that, in the end, gravity takes hold.
That's about all for tonight. Please thank our panel, Russell, Cam, Carolyn and Todd. Leave you with another ad you couldn't make in 2017, our weekly rummage through advertising's dirty laundry. Remember the good old days when soft drink was a health food and you could tell blatant lies in your ads? This 1961 spot from Coca-Cola is quite the journey. While you're taking note of all the astute weight loss advice, keep your eye out for the moment our spokesperson strikes up a conversation with an inanimate object. We'll never know for sure, but I think she might have been talking about the benefits of a different type of Coke. We'll see you next week.
Well, that's enough for today. Now for a lively lift. Ice-cold Coca-Cola. There's no waistline worry with Coke, you know. Actually, this individual-sized bottle has no more calories than half a grapefruit. Another thing, the cold, crisp taste of Coke is so satisfying, it keeps me from eating something else that might really add those pounds. It's so natural. Wholesome blending of pure food flavors. I guess that's why everyone likes the refreshing new feeling you get, only from not-too-sweet Coca-Cola. And no wonder. Lively, lifty Coca-Cola provides a welcome bit of quick energy between meals. Makes for a pleasant pause in a busy day. Oh, and remember, Coke is low in calories, too. Say, now, don't you get any thinner.